Shark MMA Show.
All right, guys, we're back on the show, and we got Zane. He is back.
What's up, Mark?
How goes it?
I'm good. I'm glad to be back on the show.
Yeah, we got some fights to talk about. We're going to talk about last week's fight. I guess we'll start with that one first, right? With the Barboza, the main event. That was like a shocker to me, believe it or not.
I also feel it was a little bit of a shock. I don't know if if this was his normal weight.
He went down to this weight class, I think one fight ago, maybe 2 fights ago, and I believe he won his last fight.
He did.
So I don't remember if it was that fight or the fight before that he went down.
He did.
I thought he looked good in the beginning. Yeah, he won his last fight before this. So I think it was that one before that he went down in weight. But yeah, I mean, I thought he did pretty good until he got clipped there. But I guess, shit happens, but I've never seen, I don't know about you, but I've never seen this guy fight.
Well, Barboza, I feel he looked maybe either you know what fighters, when they get hit and they get knocked out, the next time it's easier. The next time it's easier. And I don't know how many times Barboza got knocked out in his career, but it seemed like he got hit with a good shot, no doubt. And
I think there was one other time. I'm actually going to check that right now.
Okay.
He lost to Ganji by knockout back in 2019. And then he lost to Kevin Lee by TKO. So that's 2 right there. Yeah, not too many knockouts. And he lost in 2012 by knockout. So 3 knockout. He lost by 3 either TKOs or knockouts in the UFC with a couple years spanned apart. One was 2019. Before that was like 2012. But who knows what happens when he's training, right? Because he trains with Frankie Edgar and he trains, and I'm sure, I know he trains with Daniel Gracie, so I'm sure there's a couple of lines in their den, so to speak, right? Because the saying "iron sharpens iron" is true.
Well,
so if he's that good, he's always been in the top 10. He's been in the top 10 for a while. So for him to be in the top 10, he's sparring other top 10 guys.
I do feel that in this fight, he looked like he was battling a little bit with the weight. Like, of course, the weight cuts are always difficult, but he did get hit with a good shot. And this other guy that was fighting, I don't know how to say his name. I think it's Gija or Gija. I think it's
his first name. We'll just go by his first name. It's a lot easier to say than his last name.
That's what I'm saying, Gija.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he's 14 too, this guy, but he's supposed to be really good. He was a world champion karate guy. I think he did some kickboxing as well. This was actually my first time seeing him, but he beat Cub Swanson earlier this year. But Cub Swanson hasn't really been on the top of his game, but he's been in the UFC since started in the Contender Series in 2018, and he started fighting in 2019. So he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 fights in the UFC, and they're all wins. So you never know. He might be the next contender for the belt.
He's not a young guy. Gija is 33, and he looked strong. He looked like he knew how to leg kick. He looked like, obviously, his stand-up was really good since he was a stand-up world champion. But Barboza, might have had, some people believe, the more well-rounded, the experience. But then again, if Barboza was in all of these wars, like you're saying, like in the octagon and then in private in his own gym. And maybe this other guy has had less damage and he seems a little bit fresh, a little bit more natural at this weight. So there might have been some advantages that this guy had that some people might not have known. But without a doubt, I would not want to go up against Edson Barboza. The guy is a killer, but this guy,
Yeah, I mean, he's got. I
like you
think he's a
said, Mark,
second. He's either first or second place for the most knockouts by kicks. This guy.
like you said, this guy that he fought, Gija, he looks like if he walked through Barboza, he's got potential to be a champ. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen with Barbosa now, because that's like a pretty stacked division, the lightweight. You know, but I think
Yeah,
this was like below lightweight, wasn't it? Trying to think what weight class that was. This for? Yeah, it was lightweight.
yeah. It says lightweight, but he looked like he was sucking weight. He looked kind of thin, so I'm not too sure
Uh,
what was up with that.
yeah, I'm looking at the rest of the roster,
Oh,
right?
wait. I'm sorry,
Definitely,
Mark.
I hate to
Mark,
say it is.
we said
Yeah.
something incorrect. This past fight, was incorrect. This was featherweight. At
Oh, it
lightweight,
was featherweight. I thought so.
yeah, it's featherweight, so that's the reason why he looked, quite thin.
Yeah, I think he was lightweight, and then
Right.
he went down to featherweight.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. This guy that he fought might be a little bit more natural at this weight. And if Edson is, like you said, having gym wars and having a tough time cutting weight, he already looked like he was quite thin at lightweight.
yeah.
It looked like
Well,
he
what I heard though from Dan Felder made a comment saying that Barboza to maintain the lightweight, he actually would have to eat extra amount of food just to maintain um his frame for the lightweight division. So he thought that this was more of a natural weight for him.
well, maybe this stuff I don't know then. It just
Yeah,
seemed to me, I'm only
yeah,
going based on what I've seen from Barboza, and I
yeah,
just assumed when I saw him so much thinner and I saw the way he was moving, it didn't look like a net. And maybe he's just not used to being this weight. Maybe he's
yeah,
used to being 155. I don't know.
yeah.
Um,
But this fight moved Giga up to the number 8 spot, and Barboza moved down to the number 10 spot. So I don't know who he's going to be able to take on. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to give him another crack at someone else at the top 10, like maybe Josh Emmett, maybe. Uh, I really don't know if he can handle Brian Ortega
well,
or Max Holloway.
I'm taking a look right now at wait, what am I looking at right now? I'm looking at the ranking system for,
That's what I'm looking at.
and I'm
And
looking at,
He already lost to the number 9 guy, uh, Dan Ige.
well, you got
Yeah,
Bryce
and he
Mitchell.
lost to Dan Felder. I think that was probably at the heavier weight. So I really don't know where he's going to go, man. I think this it may be coming down to the last straw. But then again, I mean, I would say the last straw for him to try to like try to crack the top 5. Because he has lost 3 fights before, and then he won 2 after that before losing this one. So I guess we'll see. But when I'm looking at the rankings, I don't see him taking on Max Holloway or Brian Ortega. And
No,
yeah, Rodriguez, I think, is just a little young, like too much of a young stud for him. He's definitely not going to be able to take on a champ. I think the only one he might have a shot at would probably be, although that guy can hit hard, would be Josh Emmett, but that's only if Josh would even want to fight him because he's ranked higher. Shane Burgos would be a good fight for him. You know, he's ranked at number 14. That might be a good fight for him.
I just feel that it's been a long time, and maybe Barboza is starting to realize that the game is changing, new young blood coming in, a lot of
Yeah,
a lot of heavy kickers. He used to be the guy that was known for his leg kicks. I mean, you got hit once, twice, and you were pretty much done.
yeah,
Now there's a lot of guys that know how to check kicks, a lot of guys that know how to kick back hard, just like him. So who knows? Maybe his time is limited right now,
yeah.
but we'll
Well,
see.
I think for in terms of fighting for the belt, I think he can still get fights.
Yeah, but
They'll always bring in guys, that are top 15 just to fill the card. But I think he could still make a living at it. I just don't think he'll be able to crack the top five or fight for the belt.
I agree.
You know. And then I'm trying to remember who else was on that card. But yeah, I thought that fight was pretty good. Um, the other two fights were from the Tough show. Now, I'm gonna be honest. I When I turned on the UFC, I didn't know that they were gonna do the Tough final because I actually just started watching the Ultimate Fighter series. I think I'm on episode 4. So watching who made it to the finals in that card kind of like ruined it for me. But the show is still good, so I'm continuing to watch the Ultimate Fighter. But it was good to see. I actually thought Brian Battle was actually going to lose to that Gilbert guy who was like a last minute replacement, but he definitely pulled it off. Like 'cause the guy was coming at him hard, but he was able to survive that first round and then come back. So I was shocked. Now getting over to this weekend's event, um,
Well, yeah, you got Brunson and Darren Till.
yeah. I mean, what do you think on that one? Brunson, they're both been around the block. I think Darren Till's is kind of like the new. I don't want to say the new kid on the block, but he was. I would say a few months. I think last year, or year before COVID, he was like everybody thought he was like the new prospect, up and coming. They were hyping him up, and then he didn't hold up to their expectations. Um, but what are your takes on that?
Well, my thing is, let's look at Darren Till, um, a couple of years ago, right? So Darren Till, he started off in welterweight, I believe. I believe it was welterweight that he started off in.
Mm-hmm.
Back in like 2015, he was, welterweight, and he won one and lost, like I think lost one, and then it was I think a couple. So he was in welterweight for a little while, and then I think I'm looking at. Let me see. Look at. It was, I think 2019. He moved up to middleweight, and he fought Kevin Gastelum, and he won, but it was a decision. So who knows? I have to actually look back at the fight. Who knows how great of a fight it was? Who knows if Kevin was in great shape? I don't know. That was a middleweight fight. And then in 2020, he fought Whitaker, and
Yep.
Whitaker beat
Former
him.
champ.
Yeah, but
Yep.
Whitaker was a former champ, and I'm surprised that Whitaker didn't beat him. It was just a 5-round fight, and it was a decision. But I don't know how great he did in that fight. I don't
Yeah.
remember.
I remember they were hyping that fight up, right? Um, to be honest with you, I don't even know how he got that fight because his 2 fights prior to that he lost when he lost to Jorge and Tyron Woodley, which is probably Woodley's last win. And I got to ask you a question on Woodley in a little bit, but yeah, I remember them hyping up Till, and then Whittaker, Robert won that one. Um, I think for this one, I'm gonna have to go with Derek Brunson because I'm going by his current record.
Well,
He's more current, and he's won his last 4 fights.
Well, if you're referring now to my opinion, let's look at Derek Brunson.
Yeah,
He has always been middleweight, and he comes in and he, first of all, he's used to fighting bigger guys. There was a guy by the name of Ian Heinisch. That guy was tough, and it was a 3-round fight, but Derek Brunson beat him. Then there was a guy, Martin Day. I
Hmm.
think I think he was a pretty tough guy, but he also, Derek only beat him in a 3-round decision fight. Then 2020 came around and he beat again. Well, actually, it was a KO, TKO, whatever. It was round 3, 26 seconds, and this guy, I'm not very familiar with him. Edmund uh, Shabanya, something like that. And
Yep.
I have to refer to that fight. I don't know how great of a knockout it was, but the thing is, Derek Brunson is used to this weight class, and I remember Derek Brunson. He can knock you out. He's got a
Yep.
hard
Got a
punch.
lot of knockouts,
Yeah.
right?
Now
TKOs.
in 2021, he fought Kevin Holland for 5 rounds, and I remember him fighting that fight. Now I didn't think that Kevin Holland did such a great job, but Kevin Holland, he's vicious as well. You got to watch out for him. So, based on who they fought, what weight class they're used to, looking at knockout power and just natural toughness, I'm gonna go. I agree with you, Mark. I'm gonna go with Derek Brunson.
Yeah, I agree, man. It'll be interesting to see um, the outcome. I guess we'll find out and see if our picks are right. Now, I got to ask you a question. I don't know if you've seen it, the highlights on YouTube, or if you've surfed about it. Did you know about that Tyron Woodley just did a boxing match? I don't know if you've
You
been
know what?
following that.
I did not know that.
All right. The reason why I asked that is because he just recently fought Jake Paul. You know who Jake Paul is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that guy has been doing pretty good, man. He's raking in the dough, man. Everybody was hating on him. He's laughing his way all the way to the bank. He just
Yeah,
beat Tyron Woodley. It was by decision, right? Tyron Woodley actually almost knocked them out, but Tyron Woodley was not able to pull the trigger. You know how, like, I don't know what's wrong with Tyron lately. His last 3 fights in the UFC, and this will be his 4th loss overall, if you're going to include combat sports all. He just doesn't seem to want to get aggressive when I don't know, maybe he's afraid to hurt himself or he's got injury and no one knows about it. But this guy, Jake Paul, watch the highlights. He took Tyrone's shot. Like, Tyrone almost knocked him out. He took it and was able to pull off a split decision. Now, supposedly they're going to have a rematch. So I was kind of hoping you seen it. Like, I wouldn't pay for it. Like, I didn't even pay for it when he saw Ben Askren. Now, I actually thought Ben was going to win based on Kale's, like, oh, even though he's not a boxer, he's more of an athlete than Paul. Well, guess what? I mean, I know Paul won, but take it, Ben had hip surgery and he hasn't been working out and he's got like 15 years on him or whatever. But Jake Paul, man, he's been pulling it off. Now, supposedly there's this other Fury guy. I forget the guy's first name.
Tyson Fury.
No, it's another. I don't think it's Tyson Fury because I think Tyson Fury's a bigger guy, right?
Yeah, he's a champ.
Yeah, no, it's another Fury. I forget the guy's size. It's the same. It's similar size. I think that guy's 9-0. I think Jake Paul is 3-0 or 4-0 now. So they might do that, or he might just do another rematch with Tyron Woodley. But supposedly, this was a big money fight for both of them. I think Ben Askren, when Ben Askren fought him, he brought in he got paid 700,000 or something, but while Paul got paid a guaranteed $1 million just to step in the ring, and it's kind of crazy, right? Like this guy's like coming, like he was on some kid's show. I don't know if it was Nickelodeon or Disney that my kids used to watch when he was a kid, and then he became like a famous YouTuber. I don't know what the hell he does on his YouTube show. I think the guy's like I think like to me, I thought he was like an asshole and then like portrays himself as an idiot. But whatever he's doing is working for him because now he's getting all these people that want to watch him. They're paying for it, and he's raking in the $1 million. You know, I don't know. I don't know what your perspective on it. Maybe he's just like a mad genius or something, but he knows how to pull those strings, man. You know.
I hear you.
You got no opinion on it. I can tell you don't. Have you seen this guy fight at all or no?
I think you got me a little bit too loud on your end, but I never really gave him that much. I never really paid attention too much because, yeah, he basically he was, a guy of controversy and very risky stunts and silly stuff that was not for little kids sometimes. And I just never really paid attention to, I guess, characters like that.
Yeah,
But
I know he's trolling. He's trolling Conor McGregor. He's trying to get him.
he's the guy that just
Biggs being said he wasn't serious, but he thinks he can knock him out. He's just trying. I don't know if that would ever come into fruition, but
he's just the
that would be
guy.
interesting. Yeah,
He's just the guy that purposefully tries to annoy you and piss you off. So this way you pay attention to him. And this way you're like, I want to fight this guy. And he does this to anybody who is popular and rich and who can draw a crowd. That's all this guy is. So there are even some UFC fighters that in the past that have been on The Ultimate Fighter, and they just purposefully act like a jerk and say nasty things because then everybody wants to see the guy get knocked out. So that's how they get more fights, more popularity. That whole, bad news is still good news because it's any news is good news, that kind of thing.
yeah. It's kind of crazy. But anyway, I just wanted to see if I had to ask you because I haven't seen you in a while, Zane. I just wanted to see if you'd seen it. Like normally, I just ignore him, but I wanted to see if Tyron Woodley beat him. I was like a little disappointed. So we'll see. I mean, eventually, someone will get his number,
We will see.
or he'll just retire.
I know that we're not maybe ready to talk about it, but there's a couple of there's the next one, UFC 266. I don't know if you have any more time, but just briefly, I am extremely, extremely excited for UFC 266, which is Volkanovski and Ortega. That is a great card.
We'll talk about when is that one?
That one is September 25th. It's a Saturday. It's at 10 p.m.
Yeah, I definitely want to see that. I don't know where I'm going to be.
Well, listen, I know that you don't have that much time, but that's something that we should talk about.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. Maybe we'll talk about it next week in the next show.
All right.
Next week or the week after, I'll hit you. Well, we'll bring you back on, Zane, and we'll talk about it. Do our UFC picks, and then what we should do is the following day see how our picks turned out. Like maybe we'll make it a dual thing back to back. That'd be good.
I think we can do it.
All right, guys. We'll be back after a short break.